Welcome back, everybody. This is the Disapproving Nods podcast, episode number 2. Yes, it has been ages since we did the last podcast. Ages. Literally, we did it at the start of the year, back here with Dragos and Sofia to discuss different matters or different interests. Of course, we have some things on our mind, but first of all, let us ask our co-host today, how are you doing, Sofia?
I am doing well, but this podcast has no structure and we haven't planned anything, so I'm a bit resistant. But I'll just try not to bump against the microphone.
Thank you very much for your efforts. Valiantly appreciate it. Yes, it has been some time. As you can see, there are different types of approaches to the podcast. The lovely Sofia here appreciates a bit of structure.
Yes.
And
research.
In research, yes. Whereas in my case, I am more about let's get it out to the people. The people, they need it in raw form, yes?
Oh, God.
So as you can see, we've already made some sacrifices. We've sacrificed the video on this particular one. But
yes, because Sofia would take forever to get it approved.
Yes, Sofia has very strict standards for video. Yes, strict standards
for everything. For every kind of content making.
Preach.
I see. No, it's not. Okay, I won't say anything.
Yes, whereas my TikTok and Instagram content is less strict.
Yes,
it's more about volume and getting it to the people. Whereas by the nature of your work, you're more focused on the high quality of the work getting out there to the people. Yes, it has to be refined.
No. It doesn't have to be refined. It just has to be, I don't know, I was going to say valuable. But just precise. I would call it precise.
Has to be precise.
Yes.
Whereas this type of podcast is a little bit less unprecise. It's about filling up some time. It's about helping people clean their house.
Yes. Okay. Yes. We're gonna do this.
Yes, this is what we're gonna do. Content that helps people exercise. That helps them walk. Without having to worry about the thoughts in their head as they walk.
Okay.
Yes, and because Disapproving Nods is about in más o menos. It is about the movies that we watch and the other things that we...
It's like a lifestyle podcast.
Podcast.
It's very, very unprecise.
Yes, as we do it to discover the nature of it. But it's not necessarily relegated to movies and cinema.
Yes.
But of course, we are talking about different other themes and matters that matter to us. Yes?
Yes, but we did want to talk about Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Yes, right? This is one of the goal of the particular
because
podcast.
Because it's just very trendy right now.
Very trendy, yes. I think we've kind of missed the boat on the trend because so far it's...
we're really far away.
We're a bit late to the trend, but
it's still a bit trendy.
Yes, people still want to hear our thoughts on it. Yes, this is... And we're currently in Malta. We are here for a small vacation. We decided, why not? Let us not...
We like to work. We have problems.
Yes,
we can't rest.
Problems. We have to work. Problemas tenemos las problemitas. Okay, well, let us start at the beginning.
At the beginning,
Sofia.
The first shot.
Can
you remember the first shot? We're gonna go.
Well, we've both seen them. We both saw them. I saw Barbie and Oppenheimer. I saw them in Romania.
Did you see it in Romanian?
No, I saw it with Romanian subtitles.
Oh, okay.
But I saw it at very early hours of the day. I was there doing shows. So I saw it during the week at 1 p.m. This is
I saw it in Mexico City at 11 a.m. Wow. And there was only 2 older ladies there and another younger woman there. And it was interesting. It was 4 of us really in the cinema.
Interesting. Why were you in Mexico?
Because my short was in Guanajuato International Film Festival, so then I went back to Mexico City.
Guanajuato Film Festival, is that a very important film festival?
Yes, it is. This is Dragos' way of promoting my work.
Congratulations, yes.
Thank you.
So then you saw it at 11 a.m. in the morning?
Yeah.
And with, you said, old lady?
It was 3 other women in the cinema.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, I saw it about maybe 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and it was mostly mothers with their daughters.
No men
for Barbie.
No men.
Well, there was a man there.
Yeah, I mean you.
Maybe and maybe one other. But because the
Interesting.
cinema was not full because it was middle of the day,
Yeah.
there were maybe I feel like 30 people total in the cinema, maybe 3 men in total. But it was mostly, there's a lot of young females, like children and like mothers and so on and so forth. So I thought, oh, this is very interesting. The newer generation is getting its movie.
Yeah. What did you think about the portrayal of men in Barbie?
Well, I think there needs to be a distinction made
Yeah.
between the character of Ken's in the context of the movie and the men from the real world, right? But I feel like, there was the Ken aspect of it was, of course, a satirization of the role of the man in that particular society, and of course, coming to the real world.
No. But what did you think of the portrayal? How did it make you feel?
I mean, it didn't make me feel in any particular way. I did comment before that I feel like it had a clear target audience of being.
This is Dragos diverting the attention, so he doesn't have to talk about what he feels.
No, I feel like it didn't do as much to bridge the gap. I feel like the movie was meant to. It was made to kind of sync up and like resonate with the female audience, but I didn't feel like it pushed through to deliver the message of the female experience to the male audience.
Interesting.
And to answer your
I don't
question,
agree.
how do you feel that the men were portrayed?
I think, to be super honest, like growing up in Mexico and having a quite a sexist dad, who was he was many other things, but among all those things, very sexist. And Mexico is a very sexist macho country. I was very uncomfortable watching the Kens, which was very surprising to me, because usually, the Kens at the beginning, not at the end, at the beginning are really portrayed just as an accessory for Barbie, right? And I was like, it's so interesting that me as a woman is feeling slightly uncomfortable by the portrayal of this good-looking men as accessories. It's so opposite to what I've seen in TV, in magazines, in everything. Usually it's the other way around, right? And I, as a woman, don't get bothered by women being portrayed as accessories. But I was having, as I was watching the movie, I like the movie, but as I was watching the beginning, I had a slight resistance. So I was thinking, if I, as a woman, have a slight resistance that makes me uncomfortable, but that I completely approve and completely, I'm glad that this was done at such a mainstream scale. I was thinking, what are men feeling if it's making me uncomfortable?
Well, I think it wasn't. I think some men would have felt quite uncomfortable. I just thought it was a little bit. The Kens were portrayed exactly as the Kens are supposed to be in the dynamic, right? Because they are an accessory, like for the toy, the Barbie toy. Like I think I did go there, expecting it to be a movie about Barbie, the toy, not necessarily it being a statement.
What? You didn't think it was gonna even crashed against the microphone? You didn't think it was gonna be a statement?
Well, I think it was gonna still stay true to the, to the theme, which was like the audience, which is like mostly female, I would assume, because mostly girls play with Barbie. So I thought,
maybe not.
Maybe not. But I thought it would mostly be in that context of the toy, and you had like her living in Barbie land and so on and so forth. And I didn't necessarily think that, let's say, some people think like, oh, you're cheating on men and men are dumb and, boo. And I did think like later on with the men horses kind of like, the thing, men liking horses and like whatever, wrestling. I feel that's an accurate portrayal of like some of the interests of a wide majority of men that tend to be a bit more copy paste from other men. I think like in general, I think that was a nice little critique because I particularly never liked the hunting activities, the sports, all that kind of stuff. And I always thought that people that engage in those are kind of a little bit like sheep. They're a little bit like, oh, you must follow the alpha. Must follow the alpha. The alpha says football. The alpha says horses. So I've never particularly, been interested in those particular things. I thought it was a good kind of like critique. So I kind of was like laughing at it, but I didn't feel like uncomfortable. But I could see if you take your very macho boyfriend that watches football and plays, like hunting games or whatever, he'd be like, oh, what's, you know, they feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like...
you didn't feel uncomfortable?
No.
And I did. That's very interesting.
Well,
but I liked it. Like, I appreciated it. Interesting. And you were mentioning there's like a divide between the portrayal of men in Barbie Land and the portrayal of men in the real world. What did you think about the portrayal of men in the real world?
Well, I think there was a parallel about them, being in power. Like, of course, like you look at the Mattel board, there's no woman on the Mattel board, right?
Yeah.
Which was quite interesting. And, the business people and the guy hitting her ass on the boardwalk.
Hitting who? Yes. Oh my God, yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if that I don't know if that would actually happen. Maybe that was a bit more of exaggeration.
Interesting.
But
a man thinks getting slapped on the butt on the street is an exaggeration.
In Venice Beach.
Come on. I have never been in Venice Beach, but this can happen anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it can, yeah, but I think in that situation... Oh, anyway, I thought it was... Some things were kind of like pushed. I don't know if that's really...
I don't think that's pushed at all.
Well,
I
don't have the experience, so maybe I'm just kind of like, from my perspective of the world, I'm like, I don't think we'll go around slapping
I think it's very...
unknown girls on the ass.
No, yes, this is what happens. Yeah.
Sexual harassment.
Yeah, of course. But it's now that you mention it, it's very interesting that when Barbie goes to the real world, this is the first thing that happens, right?
Yeah.
Like the first concrete interaction towards Barbie is that she gets slapped in the butt. No?
Yeah, that's
Spanked.
the first.
Yeah.
So maybe it was meant to be like a statement?
No, of course.
Like, look,
but also like...
objectification, boom. This is where you are now.
Yeah, like in Barbie Land, she's not... she's respected,
yes.
right? That would never even... would be super out of character for any Ken or Alan in Barbie Land. And it's interesting that it's like the first concrete interaction. Yeah.
So I thought that was a little bit... I thought it was a bit forced or maybe like a bit pushed.
Oh, interesting.
But some of the other aspects, I don't know, I felt that there wasn't that much focus on men in the real world either. Because the only kind of instances is like Ken looking around to see what the other men are doing. And, this lady asking him for the time or directions. And he's like, oh, she respects me to ask me for directions, right? Which I think, again, I didn't really feel that it... communicated too much. I didn't feel like, I don't know, so what's the parallel there, like that people don't ask women for directions, or like they don't respect them enough to ask for directions? I don't know if it was the right what's it called,
I think maybe there are some statistics. I mean, we could check them out, but I don't find it such a like crazy thing to think that men are asked for directions more often than women. Oh, yes, let's, like, for example, remember when we went to the Kafoskari short film festival?
Yes.
And that you were there with me, with, like, me being the director of the short.
I was the plus one.
He was the plus one.
I was the accessory.
No, you're never the accessory. And then this guy congratulated you on directing the film.
Yes.
I think this is like...
Yeah, that's a good...
like the asking of the time. Yes. Because why would I could have directed such a film, right?
Yes, maybe. That was a thing that happened in real life. Yes.
Yeah.
That was a very interesting assumption. Of course, he directed the movie.
Yeah, of course. And she's the plus one, right?
Yes,
she's the accessory. This is what I mean. And this is why it's so interesting to really see at the beginning of the film a gender that's usually not the accessory to be the accessory. I remember when we were watching John Wick. That's a fun film.
John Wick 4.
John Wick 4.
For the lovers and the Office fans.
And I really was just really into the film, and then just noticed suddenly as I saw a secretary, female secretary outside of someone's office, I was like, oh, This is a very accessory image. No, she's just the secretary, and she's not doing anything essential. If you take her out, it's exactly the same film, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see the Kens like that, and it's interesting to see such a like opposing film like Oppenheimer, right? Yeah. What did you think about the portrayal of men in Oppenheimer?
Well, I think they were the center of the world. They built the bomb. They built men move things, men shoot bullets, and of course it's like historically, it's a historic biography, right?
Yeah.
But of course it was mostly men. Every now and then you'd have a woman. And I thought it was a nice touch when basically one of them was like a Harvard chemist or something. And they sent her to take care of the kids. And then he was like, what? And they brought her in. There was this moment with this lady. She was like at the camp there where they were building the camp where they were doing studies. She was a chemist from Harvard. And they were like, can I jump in on the activities here? Because they just sent me to take care of the kids.
Yes, right. That's
so
interesting.
yeah, again, that's, especially the portrayal is, look, this is who he's having an affair with. This is another female who is a love interest. This is the wife protecting. This is another woman who belongs to another man.
Yes.
So those are kind of like the dynamics in Oppenheimer.
I see.
Which is interesting because we're also watching Mad Men at the moment. And,
Mad Men. I love Mad Men. It's very problematic, but I love Mad Men.
Yes, a similar timeline as well, right? Time frame.
But it's. I think if we compare Mad Men and Oppenheimer, which actually I think it's a very interesting comparison, I think the portrayal of men and women because it's the only options we have in Mad Men is way more interesting than in Oppenheimer.
Well, I think it's also a different point in time because Oppenheimer is like 20 years difference, I think.
Yeah. But what I mean is like it's still in a very like men-driven world, men-driven atmosphere, but we see like sparks of like it's a bit more. What I mean, it's a bit more divided, like not divided. It's a bit more. It considers more female characters basically than Oppenheimer. Yeah,
and I think to be honest, there was a big. I was reading somewhere about this a while back. How after? Oh no, it's the book I'm reading at the moment about Estée Lauder. It's about how after World War II, a lot more women joined the workforce.
Yeah.
Because the men were at work, so the women were starting doing jobs that are making more money, and I think from there they had more independence, more spending power.
Yeah.
And I think you see this reflected in Mad Men, as opposed to like
interesting, as opposed to Oppenheimer,
which was like pre-40s, pre-Second World War. So I think.
But I mean, like women were existing there then as well.
Yes.
They just don't give them screen time.
I think in the book that I read was basically that. Before World War II, 2% of the staff at some manufacturing company was women. When World War II started, 75% of the staff was women.
Yeah. But what I mean is then like the line that is being drawn in order to see if women get screen time or not is whether they were part of the official head like workforce.
Yes, right? Exactly. Because I think that's a lot of times it's the value creation equals like, are you contributing to the bottom line financially,
Yeah, but it's insane because they do contribute financially in the way that they keep the house and keep everything in order for the husband or the man or the breadwinner to dedicate his full time to
But people can't quantify that properly, right? Because if you look at
I think you can quantify it, and I just think that there has never been like the real will to quantify it.
Yeah, I agree. That's why, for example, when you look at like Peggy in Mad Men, for example, once she kind of comes up with copy to sell more products and bring more money into the company, they're like, okay, now she adds value,
Yeah, but even before that, she was getting screen time. Like the story was like, what I mean is you can include women's stories without them having to contribute economically.
I see. But I guess it's also in line of the movie series, whatever. It has to be in line with the plot, right?
But the plot, then we go back to the plot. Like who's writing and who is dedicating how much space to which stories.
True, because I guess it depends what the story is. Like, for example, look at Mad Men. Nolan wrote, right? No, sorry, not the Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
So where could Nolan would have added more female presence, do you think?
Well, I mean, just from the choice of making the film about Oppenheimer, it's already
Done.
It's already kind of choosing something. But I don't know, like it could also be a portrayal of his wife.
Yeah,
or
how
one of
she
his wives,
interacted.
and or which is also very interesting that we don't know or remember the name of the wife.
Yeah.
No,
Lady
and
that
this
was...
is what happens. This is what happens, and or I don't know, maybe picking up another story, not Oppenheimer, not the bomb. Like, I don't know. There were many stories of women who gave important technological advances that are also not very.
There's also a lot of them in, I guess, like in
considered
the NASA program. I think there was some women.
Yeah, like hidden figures, you know, like, yeah, like stories are there, you know, like how many people have lived on this earth.
Well, I think the decision power, I think it goes up the chain because the people that make the decisions, allocate the money, are also kind of like in that space.
Yeah, but right? Christopher Nolan did Batman. I think he has enough
pool
for sure.
Yeah, interesting. But what did you think of Oppenheimer overall?
I had fun watching it. I think the only reason why I liked it is Cillian Murphy. I think his acting, like, it was insane. I really felt for him. I really felt like the dilemma of being super ambitious and also basically destroying mankind through this ambition. Maybe a lot of people would be like, oh, what did he think was going to happen, right? Like, do a bomb. Of course, Hiroshima. Of course, Nagasaki. No? But I don't know, maybe it's very silly. Maybe it's because we have like a narcissistic pool or something, but I get the wanting to like have your name written down in history.
It's like ego versus
mankind's well-being. I mean, of course, I wouldn't like. It's like destroy. He really like destroyed the world. But this maybe this human thing of not being able to grasp exactly what you have done until after you've done it. That human side of the character, I could really feel it from Cillian Murphy, and that was why the film worked for me, because I think the sound was super exaggerated. I feel I was like, it's fun to have like a crazy sound design. It's fun to have all these atoms, and it's fun to be able to watch that in a big screen. But it didn't really make like, for example, the way the sound and the like the sound design and the music work in The Dark Knight is serving the story way more than in Oppenheimer. In Oppenheimer, I feel it's just like, yeah, let's be big and loud. And it's very interesting because for me, the moment that works the most is when the bomb detonates the first time, which is silent. So I think for me, Oppenheimer would have been way more interesting if there was more silence and more, playing more with silence would be more interesting than like bursting my ears, even though it's a bit fun to watch. So I got the struggle. I think they could have been harsher on him, like the film could have been a bit harsher on him and showing more of Nagasaki and Hiroshima. But Cillian Murphy made the film work for me.
Interesting. Yeah, I liked it as well. I think it was 2 movies in one. I don't know. I had some mixed feelings about like the first part. I'd enjoy it with like the competition about it. If we're not going to build it, they're going to build it. So there's a bit of like a sense of urgency. And I think this is where like the ego element comes in, because like now you're competing against German scientists. Who has the better scientist? And this is like, I think like appealing to like their base, kind of like, if we don't do it, they're going to do it. Who's going to do it? They get caught up a bit into like the the race of building the atom bomb, and I think they don't probably consider what's going to happen. You know, they're like, no, we got to do it. There's no time to consider the effects. If we, you know, there's that kind of vibe to it, which I thought it was interesting. And I thought at one point they make a nod to like kind of like we used you because you would be easier to, I don't know, manipulate. Yeah, I think there is a mention of that, right? The Matt Damon guy makes a mention.
The general, that in the end the army was always using Oppenheimer.
Yes, exactly, yeah. And then I also like the second movie with the second part of the movie with the interrogation and the cross.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, it felt like a different movie a little bit. But I did like the parallel that is being driven between like the pettiness of human being versus the gravity of the whole situation, right? How like the Robert Downey Jr. character was like obsessed with like, oh, he says something to the scientists about me. The scientists, they hate me because of Oppenheimer. He says something to Einstein.
I think it's a film that if it had been centered a bit more in vanity and how fragile men, like, or I mean, not men, but like all of them, humans,
yes,
egos are. Like, because in the end, why does Oppenheimer make develop the bomb?
I mean, it's also ego, yeah?
It's ego, right? It's because he
wasn't included from the start, and the other guy was, right?
Exactly. And then, like, the army and the general is like, you're the best, you're amazing. Yeah. Like, everybody's raising him up. And then when they get what they want, then it's done, no?
Yeah, and I think that was the thing at the beginning. Like, you're not in because you're a socialist. Because you went to this party with socialists, your brother's a socialist, but this guy who you know is not as good as you is in. So he's like, oh, but I want to be part of this boys club. Yeah. That are building a bomb. You know? Yeah. So I think that's, if you go back to the Barbie movie, this is kind of like also a little bit of commentary on like the male attitude towards stuff. Which is, it's the human yearning for belonging. I want to be part of this cool club. You know, they're building a bomb and I'm the best.
But it's insane. I do think it's insane that he couldn't realize what he was building.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think it was also like they're gonna do it. There's no time to think about it, bro. There's no time. I think that was like, there's a lot of like peer pressure, you know? It's a lot of, I think at the end of the day, the general guy was more of a sales guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
We gotta get this done. Otherwise, if they get it done, whoever reaches the finish line first, they win. And then it's like because I think the idea was like, if you want to save humanity, you have to build this bomb. Otherwise, Nazis win.
Insane. Yeah, he's a salesman. Yeah. The army.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you sell.
Matt Damon.
The Steve Jobs of the nuclear bomb.
Very interesting.
Yeah, there's a Bill Burr joke about how like Steve Jobs, he's such a genius. What the fuck did he do? He just locked up some scientist in the room and cracked the whip for like 3 years and said, "Shut up, invent this shit, invent something. We're trying." So I think that was the interesting parallel. But I like the movie. I think it was a good. So I like the like I said, the parallel between like the human pettiness and the actual gravity of the whole situation. Because even in the context where you have an atomic bomb that just killed hundreds of thousands of people, your obsession is like, fucking Oppenheimer made Einstein mad at me. Yeah, you know. And then he went on this tirade to kind of take him down. I'm like, fucking people are shit.
Yes. That's the conclusion of for me it was very now trying to like compare the two. It was, I don't know, a bit heartbreaking but also interesting to see that these two film hits are really like, so even from the colors of the posters, like I think there were some memes saying like nature is going back to its original form or something like this, like pink is for women.
Yes, a great art.
You know, like you have Barbie versus men building bombs. Yes. It's like, I don't know, it was like it's a kind of a snapshot of where we're at as a Western-ish society, right? Like,
people want to go back to like their defined.
Like we're not that far.
Yes.
You know? It's like,
it's still pre-programmed inclinations.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, in that sense, if I was gonna choose one of them, I would choose Barbie because it's a bit different.
Yeah, I also feel like, look, if you go back at Portrayal of Men and Barbie, there's also like, good men, like the father, right? It's like he doesn't get a lot of stage time.
Yeah, let's talk about the father, please.
Yes, he's being very supportive, and he's
learning Spanish.
and he's the opposite of the horse.
Yeah, he's
fighting.
like his own man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then I like, yeah, exactly. You don't have to like, I feel like always this like wrestling horses. It's just a lot
affairs.
Yes,
with women who need therapy.
We must integrate with other men, the alpha. The fuck. It's at the end of the day, it's still kind of like, you're just trying to fit in.
Yeah.
But I like the portrayal of the like Alan being chill as well.
Yeah, Alan is a very interesting character.
That portrayal was pretty chill. It was like, I'm here learning Spanish. Don't worry, the ladies will figure it out. And they went out.
The ladies will figure it out.
The mother and also
I think
like
he isn't even thinking something
he's
like
not
that.
thinking,
He's just doing his shit.
Yes, exactly.
And minding his own business and learning the language of his wife.
Yes, and the wife and the daughter's like, we don't have to involve that in this. It's we don't necessarily need that external validation or external aid or counsel.
I love how enthusiastic he is when they go to the gynecologist.
Yes.
Like, I love that it's like a family trip instead of like the women taking the women to the gynecologist. I love that the dad is there before Barbie goes to the gynecologist.
Yes.
It should be a family thing.
Yes, and I think it was a nice touch. I also did not see that turn coming out with Barbie going to the gynecologist. I did not see that coming.
Yeah. I think even the fact that the dad is in the car plays against building an expectation, because you wouldn't think that the dad would come to the gynecologist, no?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I like that. I like Barbie. It was a nice movie. I feel it deserves the hype. I think it was good. It's quite different. It made over 1 billion now.
No.
I was expecting, oddly, I don't know why, maybe because I'm a man, I was expecting Oppenheimer to make more money. But then I think I overly estimated the appeal of Barbie.
Because I think, one thing is the toy, and now everyone's thinking, let's make movies about toys. But the other thing is like, this is how much we yearn to have female stories, stories about a woman.
Yes,
like we don't have that. We have just like romantic comedies and here and there some other attempts. And it's getting more, but it's just like I want to watch a blockbuster about a woman's day. Like, for example, Joy. There's a film called Joy with Jennifer Lawrence. And she is like the entrepreneur that made up a special mop thing.
Okay, yeah.
And the whole film is about her, regardless of what the listeners can feel towards entrepreneurs. The whole film is about her entrepreneurial venture and how she convinces people and how much she has to struggle to make it work and how she's like having her family on her back and I don't see that so much, and I'm interested in that.
That's what the start of the book is now. I'm reading the Estée Lauder book.
Yes, Estée Lauder. Yeah, for example, we have so many like stories like that.
The founder, McDonald's founder, or some other shenanigans, but
like
or
Uber,
like Uber guy, We work.
When are they doing a film about the Body Shop?
Yeah. That's what we're looking for.
No, I mean, like, aside from
is the
capitalism.
Body Shop founded by a woman?
Yeah, the Body Shop is founded by a woman.
Oh, one about Spanx. The Spanx lady?
Yeah.
She's quite, there's a lot of stories going about her. She's like, she's the one entrepreneur, because apparently a lot of people were very excited about, when the time was before the whole thing went down, the Theranos lady was supposed to be the next Steve Jobs. Yes. And then that kind of blew
then they
up.
Crucified her.
Yes, and then I feel like that did a lot of harm to a lot of female entrepreneurs. But hopefully this, the Barbie element will convince more people to go. Are we getting a Barbie too? What do you think?
Like, I hope not. Like, can we just do something different? But depends. I feel I would only like it if Greta and Noah Baumbach like write another screenplay. But if it's gonna go to someone who really just wants to sell, because in the end Barbie is a commercial, then it's gonna be just a nightmare.
What
think.
a successful commercial.
Yeah, it's a successful.
I think Mattel
commercial.
is like just counting the money now.
Yeah, Mattel is like great.
This has been a big year for.
I'm super curious about how the negotiations of the creative freedom went. I would love to know everything about it. Like how did Greta Gerwig manage to convince Mattel to throw in the word patriarchy so many times? I have no idea.
Well, I think they were kind of like hands off, to be honest. I don't know exactly, but because this was a Warner Brothers production, right?
Yeah, but Mattel was also
had like creative
part of the production,
because there were some jabs taken at Mattel as well, right? Like
yeah. But I think
Will Ferrell did a great job as the CEO.
Yeah, I don't know what the negotiation was like, or maybe somebody sold a great pitch and the statistics show that it was going to be popular if they said patriarchy 20 times in the film. Maybe that's how they made the decision. Research, market research was done, maybe. Overall, it was interesting to go back to the cinema and to have big movies that made people go back to the cinema, because cinema is dying. No, it's not dying, but it feels like it's dying sometimes with the streamers. But that's another topic.
Like the situation has been also in terms of quality of movies coming out, right? There's been, Guardians of the Galaxy 4, Transformers 12, Fast and Furious 11. It's kind of like running a bit out of ideas. And people
the mainstream cinema, because there is another world of cinema aside from box office hits.
And what do you think of the founder of Barbie that went to prison for tax evasion? The
lady, right?
She got a.
Yeah, I mean, this would be the full picture, right? Because being a woman is also not exempt of being sexist or being, I don't know, not sisterly, or not being, like it's not the idea is not to make women the Virgin Mary again. It's just like, women can be shit as well. We just like want to be seen as human beings and not as a accessory. As an accessory.
It's true. And I think
human beings get problems for tax evasion, so
this happens. These things happen.
Well, they don't get problems. They commit the crime.
Yes, they don't fall out of the heavens. Yes. Well, very nice. I think overall I did enjoy it, and Oppenheimer as well. Neither of them left me with like a life-changing kind of experience. I feel like this movie.
To me, yes, Barbie, but only because of this moment when there's Barbie OCD and Barbie with
depression.
And I was like, yes.
Yeah, suicidal thoughts, or like what dark thoughts Barbie. Yes. Just normalized a bit more of the.
That was like, my soul, my soul needed to see this. My inner 8-year-old needed to watch this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, this is not just one.
Happy Barbie.
Yes. Happy Barbie.
Hegemonic.
Happy Barbie all the time. Perfect Barbie.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, I think we're reaching the end of the podcast. We've shared some thoughts. Any other movies you'd like to watch in the coming weeks or months that we might give the listeners a preview on what they might expect?
I want to watch Don't Worry, Darling. And I want to watch... Hello.
We have returned. We had a small issue with the battery, but now we're back in here. And the question was, what movies are you excited for in the coming months, my dear Sofia?
Yeah, I'm really bad at thinking, like at detecting what are the upcoming films. But I have missed a few from the past. I want to see like Don't Worry, Darling and Red Rocket. But do you know which films are coming up that could be interesting to watch?
Well, I've seen some of the trailers in the cinema recently. There's the Blue Beetle movie, which is the first. It's the first one. I think it was with some James Gunn supervision at Warner Bros.
But it's supposed to be like about a Mexican superhero, right?
Well, yes, in the comics.
I wanted to write something like that about a Mexican superhero, but then I felt like this is the most gringo thing I could ever do.
There's a Mexican superhero that lives in the US and gets the powers from an alien race.
And
we'll see. Apparently, it's some good reviews. It's out already. The other one is the new Leonardo DiCaprio movie. Did you see that one?
No.
The Native American Indians.
Native American Indians.
Yeah, it's just like he marries a native. Or he
Oh my God. Like
there's
The Revenant, but different.
something along those lines. Yeah.
No, you know what? Now that I just thought of it, we're going to Venice. So I do have a list of things I want to watch.
Oh. Do you tell? What movies can we only see at Venice?
Priscilla by
Priscilla.
Sofia Coppola. It's the new Sofia Coppola film, and I'm very excited about it, even though I sometimes like her and sometimes not. But I think she's a very talented director. So I want to see, Priscilla. And there's like a list of Mexican filmmakers that are presenting work at Venice, including the Arriaga siblings. I want to see that film. I forgot the name. Something about the sky. But I'm jealous, so my mind is erasing the title.
It's censoring the information.
Yeah, and I want to see in the Horizonte section. Now you are talking about mainstream box office hits, and I'm talking about the Venice Film Festival. That I think it's very much like filmmaking royalty, and I'm a bit jealous of it. But I know this film student from Romania, Sandra Popescu,
yes.
and she's also having, I think it's the international premiere for her short film, Sentimental Stories, and I'm very much looking forward to see it.
Oh, yeah, the Romanians going hard.
Yeah, from my film school. So
I haven't looked into any of the shorts or the movies that are going to be at Venice, but we're going to check it out. We're going to be there for a couple of days. We can see.
Yeah, there's also like a new, oh my God, is it Luc Besson? There's like all the filmmaking royalties, like premiering movies there, and it's very interesting.
Well, do you know what that means?
No.
We have to do another episode of Disapproving Nods from Venice.
Yes, let's do that. And we will like talk about the shorts and the
everything
films
we've seen that day.
Yeah, because the thing is that we're getting to see it super early. Like
Yes.
Priscilla will get to the cinemas at some point, definitely, because it's Sofia Coppola, for example. But we're gonna be the first to see it.
Wow, premiere. Oh my God. Are we going to do the next video with video?
No, I'm shy.
Okay, well, we're going to be very excited. So then you can expect the next episode to come around, I don't know, 10th of February. So it's the 10th of September. 10th of February. Yes, in this,
September after my birthday. That is the 9th of September.
yes, we're going to do it there. Happy birthday in advance.
Yay.
We're going to do it there. And we're going to let you know what movies are happening at the Venice Film Festival.
Yay.
And then you will be able to be in the know early.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap it up?
No, thank you for your patience.
Thank you for your patience. Would you like them to follow you anywhere?
Yes, it can be on Instagram. It's Sofia Ayala MX.
Okay.
That's in Mexico, but I am a bit paranoid because there's some crazy lady who wanted to follow me. Stalker I had in Mexico after some family situation. So
if you're the stalker, please don't follow.
If you're the stalker, don't follow. But like, you can also send me a quick message like, "Hey, I heard you on Disapproving Nods," and then I just will automatically accept you.
Okay, perfect. Amazing. All right, then you can follow me on Letterboxd.
Letterboxd.
Oh my God, I got a Letterboxd.
We have to talk about the Letterboxd review of my short in another episode.
We can talk about it. It's a fun one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much for listening. See you guys. Listen to you from Venice. Have a nice weekend or week or evening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.